The plateau. It's part of the journey, isn't it? You're working, you're trying to build your dream, and you get stuck on a plateau. And you can't seem to get off that plateau. You can't seem to get to the next level. Well, it's part of the journey. You're going to reach plateau after plateau after plateau. The trick is to learn how to make the leap to the next plateau, to the next level. And oftentimes, you have to go down before you can go up. It's scary. It's scary to go down. It's scary to jump off the cliff in order to reach the next level. And so you put off your goals because you don't want to face the fear. You hide yourself. You tamp down your mission. All the patterns are about pleasing and about fear. What I have found as a PhD, life coach, life changer, is that my clients struggle with resistance. They struggle with the resistance of moving to the next level. And the resistance comes in different forms. For example, a psychic who is ready to launch her program and she gets caught up in having arguments with her family. Or I have another one who is a healer and she disguises herself or hides herself behind language, spiritual jargon that chases away her potential clients. And she feels like she's being all spiritual and she's not reaching her people. I have a would-be entrepreneur who's afraid of leaving her job. And so she never even gets off the ground. She's busy all the time. And of course, there's the coach who takes program after program after program, seeking the right formula of success. It's not the formula. It's the fear that's holding you back. And as long as you don't deal with the fear, no formula is going to work because it's about you. And what are the fears? Maybe you're afraid of being successful. Maybe there was something in your background that said, if you are successful, you're going to be abandoned. Or maybe the fear is of being seen. One of my clients for sure is afraid of being seen because as a child, she was not accepted for who she was. She was ridiculed. She was denied. She was undermined for being herself. How many of you out there have experienced that? Of being questioned, of being treated as crazy or as alien. And so you hide yourself because it's safer. Or maybe you were actually abused and so you hide yourself because you don't want to get hurt. Or you're afraid of stepping into your true, authentic power because it is too big, it's too scary, and it feels safer. Now, it's not your fault. You come into this world brilliant. We are all brilliant. We are all connected to divine source, and we have our own special energy, our special gifts, which is why we're here. We are born, however, into these bodies when they're little tiny babies, and we're very vulnerable. And we have to learn how to survive. And we develop patterns and beliefs and habits that help us to survive. But then when it comes to fulfilling our mission, we may have even forgotten that we had a mission because we're so busy with our patterns. So what happens in childhood? You learn that it's not safe to be yourself. Maybe you feel unloved. Maybe you were abandoned. Maybe you were unwanted. Maybe your parents criticized you, your father or your mother, and you always felt unworthy, not perfect enough, not good enough. Or, like I said, alien. It really does all boil down to not feeling good enough. And so you develop these patterns to prove to other people, and so your focus is out there, to prove to other people that you are good enough, that you are worthy. And so you become a people pleaser. The problem with the people pleaser is that you cannot be a leader and powerful as long as you are focusing out there on pleasing other people. You actually have to step into your own power and energy. You have to trust yourself. You have to develop your confidence. If you are not confident, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't trust yourself, nobody else will. Or maybe you are a performer. That's another pattern. What I find with performers is they don't have problems with the money, they have problems with their health. That by working all the time, being the performer, it's never enough, is it? I think of George Harrison, the Beatle. He made millions and millions of dollars, but he was always striving for the next big thing that he was doing. A great song was never enough. It was like, what's the next thing? Because he was caught in this endless loop of trying to prove himself. And so eventually it took away his health, it hurt his relationship, and eventually it took away his life. And he tried spirituality. Spirituality is amazing, but here's the thing. It's great for being spiritual, but we live in these human bodies, and we have to find a pattern, a path that allows us to connect with our brilliance, but to bring that into the three-dimensional plane. So I have a client who is very spiritual, but she doesn't know how to ground herself. And she hangs out in that ether. And I know that. I know what that's like. I hung out in the ether for about 13 years. And it was wonderful. And you felt great and creative. But I was not creating the impact that I was meant to have as long as I was up in that ether. I wasn't manifesting on the material plane. That's why they call it spiritual bypass. One of my clients was working for hours and hours at a job that was killing her health. And she had this vision that she was going to be this entrepreneur that was going to be of service to people. But she couldn't let go of the job. She kept on wanting to work and work. And she was afraid of losing her money. And here's the thing. If you lose your health, you're going to lose your money like that. And once she loses her health, she has the ultimate excuse, because then she can't do anything anymore. And she's young. She's only in her 30s. But we're working on it. And she is developing new patterns. And she is stepping into the uncomfortable zone in order to change the way she behaves, in order to give herself a chance. So what's the fear that's holding you back? Fear disguises itself in many ways. Like we can attract crises into our lives. Like the client who had the arguments with her family members about taking care of her elderly parents when she was on the verge of launching a world impacting website. It was safer. She didn't want to be seen because she was also a healer. And as a child, she felt like an alien. She felt unacceptable. So she hid herself in this mechanism of controlling. And so we worked together and began to pull her back from that controlling habit. And yeah, it brought up fear. But she got reconnected with her true brilliance, with her true mission. And she actually did finally launch the website. So we create our own world. How is your world? What are you creating? You are creating the world that you are creating. Is it working for you? Are you satisfied? Are you making the money that you need to make to have the impact that you are here to make? Do you have the health that you need to have the impact? Do you have the relationship and the social support? Or are you trading your brilliance for being safe, for acceptance, for approval? And goodness, of course, we are social beings. It's wired into our body. We want to be approved of. And part of the healing of the soul, the healing and reconnection to your brilliance, is to realize that you are perfect the way you are. The good news is it can change. It's possible to change. I teach my clients how to do that. I give them the practices that are going to push them out of their comfort zone. And yes, it's going to create fear, and that's okay, because when the fear comes up, we actually can identify the patterns. When the fear is there, we know that there is a pattern that needs to be healed and changed. And that's what we work on. Healing the pattern, healing the emotional upset, calming the body, calming the inner child. I work on the body and the brain with psychosomatics and spirituality. So you get both the body, the brain, and the spirit, which I call brilliance. Can you do this yourself? It's possible. The problem is most of us are being led around and controlled, oftentimes unconsciously, by a scared child who found a way when she was very young to survive. And she isn't going to give that up easily, to jump off the cliff, because she had to struggle to survive, and now you're asking her to do something that's scary? She's going to resist. It's about resistance and getting over the resistance. And it's very difficult to do that alone, because you have to be something that you aren't right now. Well, actually you are. It's your brilliance. It's who you really are. But you were taught very young that it was not safe to be that person, that who you are, brilliance. So the journey is about fear and mastering your response to fear, to realizing that fear, making the leap, is part of the journey. It's difficult to do that alone. If you want to know how I work with my clients, if you want to find out if we're a match, click on the link and let's have a conversation and see if we're a match. That's it for today. Be brilliant. Bye for now.